Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Race 5 of the Mazda Touring Cup from the Circuit de la Sarthe in France. Before we head over to the action, let's take a look at the current championship standings. After 4 races, SGP and Steve F1 are tied at the top on 69 points. They're 69 with each other, great. Demon R sitting in third, 1 point behind them, and then we've got Mitch and Fluffy tied for fourth on 41. We then have Twilight, Dave the Harp, Jimmy, Mandalorian, SRI, Bunsel, Jason, Rich Blues, Groover, Tyler, Formula Gary, and Conrod Racing, who still unfortunately is yet to score. Take a look then at the qualifying results for this race at Cirque de la Sarthe. Dave the Harper, surprise pole sitter with a 4 minutes 28.264 lap. Ever so close behind him on the front row is Demon R. On row 2 we've got Steve F1 alongside DGT League SGP, and then we've got Mitch once again up there with the big boys on row 3 alongside Mandalorian. Formula Gary starts on row 4 with Twilight next to him, with SRI behind them on row 5 alongside Jason. Fluffy Planet is on row 6 with Jimmy, and then right behind them we have Bunsel and Rich Blues on row 7. Time though to head over to the track for all of the action. And joining me on commentary today is James. How are you, James?
Yeah, I'm great. I've got my baguette and my beret on.
Good for you. I've got my crash helmet because I've heard Grosjean lives somewhere around here. Someone else who will want to live around here is Dave the Art, because he's sitting on pole position as we get ready for the start of this race. And the lights go out and away they go, and it looks like a decent start from Dave the Harp. Demon R in second place, pulling in right behind him, letting Steve F1 know the space is not going to be there for him.
Yeah, and straight away he's covering off Steve F1, making sure that he's not able to have a look for the lead of the race straight out of the box. But Steve F1 might be able to go around the outside of Demon R here.
He's going to give it a damn good try, but Demon R fighting back. Mitch also side by side with SGP. Dave the Harp, though, has got a decent run away at the moment, but as we know, James, the last place you want to start at this track is pole, because normally by the end of that first straight, you're not going to be in first anymore.
Well, we'll see what happens. Oh, Mitch got a little bit twitchy there on the curb, and that just spat him wide. Hopefully, he's managed to regain himself onto the circuit in a safe manner. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, that it is. And here we go then. Demon R closing in on at the back of Dave the Harp. So as we mentioned, Dave the Harp may not be leading this race by the time they get to the first of the chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight. Steve F1 is in a decent position. And then we got SGP and Mandalorian, and then Fluffy Planet and Formula Gary side by side. But look at these three at the front. A bit of a surprise gap back to SGP though. Are any of these going to be going for the move? You know what? I think Demon R's been doing a bit of bond drafting, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so, but yeah, there's a bit of a gap there to SGP, but running through this chicane now, SGP and Mando should be able to claw onto a bit of slipstream with them front three, otherwise they're going to start pulling away. If anything, Demon has got a run here. That he has. He is very, very close to the back of Dave the Harp, but it doesn't look like he's attempting any kind of over. I do think he's just doing a bit of bum drafting here. He doesn't want to get attacked by Steve F1, and Steve F1 is potentially close enough. Mandalorian having a look at the side of SGP, so yeah, Mandalorian's not wasting any time. I'm guessing he's thinking, you know what, actually no, SGP is fighting it back through into the chicane, and Steve F1 now trying to put a bit of pressure on Demon R. I don't know if it's gonna work though. Yeah, once you go side by side, if you're not getting slipstream, you might as well just give away that position, and I think Demon R here, no fault of his own, is just going to slip him back in front of Steve F1, and Steve F1's going to have to surrender. Yep, and there you go, absolutely spot on, James. It's unusual for you to be right so often. Yeah, it's all these French people have been teaching me a few lessons. That sounds a bit weird. It does, yeah. Mange tout, my friend, mange tout. Yeah, they've been giving me too many snails. Yeah, I don't know why they eat them.
No,
fucking weird.
no,
Anyway.
Oh, 3 wide. Who's that? Bunsell, Twilight, and Gary. Yeah. Mitch also coming under pressure from Jason. Fluffy Planet opening a little bit of a gap to the pack behind him. So Dave the Harp still leading, and we haven't even got. We've only just got halfway through the first lap of the race. Or is Dave the Harp going a little bit wide there? Looks like Demon R applying a little bit of pressure now. He's just letting Dave the Harp know he's there, but that's allowed SGP to close in on the back of Steve F1. I did want to quickly mention, James, just to let the viewers know that the tyre wear around this track shouldn't be too much of an issue from what I've been hearing. The problem is the fuel around here, because you can't get lots and lots of laps out of the fuel here.
Yeah, we've been hearing that maximum amount of fuel that you can, fuel efficiency you can get around here is about 4 laps. But it's you're going to have to do a hell of a lot of fuel saving, and right now these front 5 cannot do any fuel saving because they're all attacking each other.
Exactly.
Twilight around the outside of Jason, that's a nice move, nice and clean there, but Jason's not giving up.
He's not. Gary looking there as well. Jason's going to be... I think there was a little bit of contact between Twilight and Jason. Yeah, there was. That's put that's put Twilight out of position. SGP being attacked by Mandalorian now as well. Mandalorian trying to get side by side. So what are we going to be having into the final couple of corners? SGP heading into the pits.
Yeah, so I think he's going to do a counter strategy to the top 4 now, as Demon has clobbering that final curb. But yeah, the front 4, they're a little bit spread at the moment, but they really are pulling away from Fluffy Planet in P5.
Yeah, Gary though, he's closing in on the back of Jason. It's interesting SGP pitting there, because from what I was hearing, the most straightforward strategy for this race is 3 laps, 3 laps, 3 laps. That's the easiest way. You can do something different, but you're probably going to either have to do a hell of a lot of fuel saving, as you said, or do an extra pit stop. And you don't really want to be doing the extra pit stop, I wouldn't have thought. But interestingly, Dave the Harp showing that his pace for pole position was not just a miracle 1-lap wonder, because he's still leading the way.
I think the key thing is, if you are going to pit an extra time, you've got to spend no time messing about in that midfield. You need to work your way through the pack as quick as possible. And Steve F1 in 3rd place, really, really close to Demon R now.
That he is, but I think he may be bump drafting Demon R to try and close in on Dave the Harp, because I mean, as you mentioned earlier, James, if Steve F1 pulls out of the slipstream, he's not going to be going past, is he? So might as well bump draft and see if they can both catch, and that has allowed Demon R to really close in on the back of Dave the Harp. He's right on him. So Steve F1's tactics may have just worked, and just to let everybody know as well, SGP, having made that pit stop, has come out right at the back. Here we go then. Is Demon R going to do a bit of bump drafting, or is he actually going to give us some action? He's going for the action.
Right, this is confusing me. I thought Demon R were going to just sit behind Dave the Harp and just slightly turn down that fuel mixture, just giving him a little bit more scope to go a bit further. But no, he's going for it. He's up and Dave the Harp's trying it back though, but he's locked up slightly and had to surrender there. Demon R runs a touch wide there, I think. Yeah. This might just give Dave the Harp a run back at him.
Yeah, so even though Demon R has made the position, he could lose it again straight away. So Dave the Harp coming right back at him. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that, James. I mean, we've talked before about Steve F1 sitting behind a couple of guys saving fuel. And, I mean, this is a track where if you are going to save fuel, then you're best off doing it behind someone. Dave the Harp, though, retaking the position through the kink into the hairpin. Mandalorian's dropping off a little bit here. I'm wondering, Dave the Harp a little bit sideways. I'm wondering if Mandalorian's doing a little bit of fuel saving at the moment.
Either that, or he's just not got the pace of them front 3, and he's just benefiting slightly off of a little bit of slipstream.
Yeah, it could be. It'll be interesting to see now, though, whether any of these front guys are going to be pitting to either A, cover off SGP as SRI and formerly Gary and Rich are side by side. SGP's in the background as well, but they're still 3 wide. You're not going to want to be 3 wide when you get down to these corners, though, as Dave the Harp and Demon are looking like there. Oh no, Dave the Harp's gone wide. He's into the kitty litter. You don't want to be over there. Mandalorian will be saying thank you very much. An easy third place for him now. Steve F1 and Demon R both promoted. Oh, Carnage!
Yeah, Carnage, SGP just avoiding it, luckily for him, as he's the first one to pit, and he's having a little look there up the inside of SRI, and SRI turned in on him there, so that's just not really working out here for SGP, and this is the problem. You need to make sure that you get your way through the pack as quick as possible without scrubbing your tyres and just overall losing time, because them front guys are pulling away and you're just stagnated in this midfield. Yeah, you can find yourself just throwing away seconds.
I mean, the amount of undercut you can get around this track is huge. As SGP trying it around the outside of Rich, and Fluffy trying to up the inside now of Rich. He's going to have to hope that Rich has got mirrors all over that car. But yeah, the amount of undercut that SGP could get is huge. What are these two going to do? Demon R going for a late move into the pit lane. So Demon R, Steve F1 and Mandalorian into the pits. Dave the Arp says, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to show you that I don't burn my tyres up all the time. He's going to keep going.
Yeah, Jason there. Running very, very wide in that final speed. That will not be helping him. And there is Mitch, as a few cars heading back into the pit lane. I think, was that SGP back in the pit lane?
Yeah, SGP's back into... Okay, that's on you. You know what, I'm wondering whether that outlap was a little bit too messy, a little bit too frustrating, a bit painful on the tyres. And, yeah, it's unusual for SGP to... You wouldn't normally do that. That's for certain.
No, but the only thing that is going to be in his favour is if he's fuelled up his car already previously, he's going to have he's going to have less time in the pit lane because there's 2 laps of fuel already sitting in the fuel tank.
Yeah, he'll have a much quicker pit stop. That's a good point, actually, yeah. So when the likes of Demon R and Steve F1 have pitted, and they have come out of the pits right by each other as well, then SGP shouldn't be too far away because, as you mentioned, I'm trying to look in the background, that was Mandalorian I saw in the background, I think. Yeah, SGP will have had a much shorter pit stop. We'll have to see how that's going to pan out. But Steve F1 looks like he's on a charge. David Harp still leading the way as Jimmy, he still hasn't pitted yet. Steve F1, he's going for the move.
Yeah, that's odd because Demon R was still getting a bit of slipstream there from Jimmy. There's a massive drop off here, so I'm thinking Demon R straight out of the box is fuel saving.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Looking at the gap that Steve F1 has just pulled out on him there, yeah, Demon R is he's in a low fuel mixture. I just hope he knows he is, otherwise he's going to be a bit of a painful race for him. There is SGP, by the way, right behind Mandalorian. Yeah. So even though he's done the extra pit stop, he's only actually in total lost out a couple of seconds, and if his outlap had been faster from his first stop, he may have actually gained. You know what, Demon R's definitely got to be fuel saving because Mandalorian is already on the back of him, going between himself, going between Demon R and Jimmy. So yeah, Demon R must be. Why would he have pitted and then fuel saved? This race is really not making any sense to me.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'm thinking is Demon R's trying to do a 4-lap stint now, but even now I'm stuttering because I just don't understand why you do it now. Why would you do it now in the race? I mean, he's just gone a bit wide as well, so SGP's going to get a run on him here. So yeah, I think the only way I would go for a long 4-lap stint is right at the very end of the race. That's the only thing for me that I would do. For the rest of the race, I'd just keep it simple. But yeah, here we go.
Well, I guess we'll find out what's going to happen, won't we? SGP then attacking Demon R, but Demon R, yeah, he's just not getting involved in this at all, which is very unusual. And I mean, look at how much Steve F1 has already pulled away, and Mandalorian, and SGP's trying to pull away as well. I mean, okay, I mentioned earlier, if you're going to save fuel, do it behind a car, but if Demon R has effectively given up net second place to now be running net fourth.
Yeah, it's just giving up 3 positions to the top guys, so I just don't quite understand it. And now he's trying to re-attack, so has he just decided, hang on, this strategy isn't going to work, I'm going to turn my fuel back up?
Well, I guess we'll find out in a moment. Mitch then still hunting down Jason. Currently the battle for second place. Mitch, we saw have that bit of a crash on the opening lap of the race, but he'll be looking for a decent remainder of this action. And SGP still got Demon Eye. You know what Demon Eye is? Oh, Jimmy's wide. He's into the wall.
Ooh.
Easily done though. We've all done it. And Twilight and Gary right in the foreground, going side by side as they make their way towards the Porsche curves.
Yeah, Steve F1 will not be far behind these two, and these two haven't pitted and Steve F1 has, so let's just see if these two get in a bit of a tangle. Steve F1's going to be on the evasive if all happens, but here we go. I think Demon R's trying to scrub that SGP sign off the back of Steve's car.
I think you could be right. I mean, is he attacking, or is he just like...
I think he's attacking now. I think he's realised this strategy is not going right at this point of the race.
Dave the Harp into the pits, then race leader into the pits. Jason heads into the pits, and so does Mitch. Let's see, I'm not sure if Twilight and Gary have. We'll soon find out, I'm sure. But SGP, I mean, SGP is still fairly close to the back of Mandalorian. And there was somebody, yes, Gary has headed into the pits, so that frees up. They're all Demon are a little bit wide. Twilight now leads the race.
Yes, Twilight's the only driver not to have pitted yet, and this is on lap 4, so he must definitely have been doing some fuel saving in them opening stints.
Yeah, Demon R is not fuel saving anymore, he's just breezed past SGP. I'm wondering if SGP is now doing a bit of fuel saving, because, I mean, getting to the straight, you can do a bit there, but it looks like Demon R has now decided, right, time to turn the engine up. And to be fair, if he is on a 4-lap stint where he needs to do a lot of fuel saving, he's basically done all of it in one lap, and now, you would guess, doesn't have to think about it. But where is Dave the Harp? Well, Dave the Harp is behind Steve F1, Mandalorian, Demon R, SGP, SRI, Fluffy and Jimmy, so Dave doing the extra lap has not necessarily helped him right now, but may help him later on. Twilight, though, he looks like he's going, well, he's on for a 4-lap stint straight away, so that might help him later on. I have no idea what's going to happen in this race.
Yeah, I've got no clue either. I think we're right now, of the top runners, the guys that have pitted so far, Steve F1 in P2 is sitting in prime position here, because he can pretty much do what he wants, and he's getting a nice little slipstream from Twilight.
Then he can. Fluffy trying to make a move on SRI at the moment. This is a track that I know Fluffy has not been a big fan of. SRI trying to fight back though, can't quite do it. And there is Dave the Harp. Oh, Jimmy, he's decided to go and see how deep the gravel is in the first chicane. Not very.
I'm surprised that gravel stopped him there. I thought he were going to go through that tyre wall.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There was a song made for Jimmy there, Rocket Man. I'm not even going to try singing it. So Dave the Harp, I like the way he said like, don't try singing it, mate. So Dave the Harp is now behind his long rival SRI, and Bunsell right behind him. Bunsell will love racing around this place, plenty of places to do a bit of bump drafting, but Dave the Harp, I think Dave the Harp got a little bit wiggly there.
Yeah, SGP really struggling there through that second chicane. I think he'll be a bit annoyed right now, because obviously I think he's had to do a little bit of fuel saving himself behind Demon R, and really watching drivers pull away, even though their strategy might be slower, physically on the road, seeing other drivers just drive away from you, it is mentally demoralising, I think. It is,
but interestingly, Steve F1 and Mandalorian both drove away from Demon R, but now Demon R is catching back in on them. This race is clearly far from over. Twilight still leading, hasn't pitted yet. Dave the Harp was leading. He's recently pitted as Mandalorian, having a look up the inside of Steve F1. And this is where, if we're watching this and we don't know what's going to be happening, it's pretty fair to say that the drivers may have no idea what's happening either. If you're a Mandalorian or a Steve F1, are you trying to work out other people's strategies?
Well, I think Mandalorian, he's not the type of driver.
Bunsell, can you get it stopped? Oh! I think
he did the best of a bad situation there.
Yeah, I think he may have made a little bit of contact with Mitch, but it could have been considerably worse. And Mitch is still struggling anyway.
But yeah, I think Mandalorian's not the type of driver who likes fuel saving, so he's probably full burning it now, and he thinks it's paying dividends for him, but the guys behind him, I think they're playing a bit of a blinder here, and they're all doing their little bit of fuel saving, so they're working out their strategy. Twilight, I expect him in the pit lane at the end of this lap, because I don't think you can get 5 laps out of one tank. Rich
Blues just ran a little bit wide there. That's allowed Mitch through, and Jason coming in quick as well. I think Rich may be low on fuel. Twilight, he's got to be coming in this lap. I mean, this is the 4th lap, and yeah, there we go. If he'd have gone for another lap, I would have just thrown my strategy. But Mandalorian, is that not an early pit stop?
Yeah, so I think we're at the end of. He pitted at the end of lap 2.
Yeah.
He's now pitting at the end of lap 4. So is he doing 2 lap stints?
I haven't got a clue. SGP, hang on a minute. SGP's into the pits as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking Mandalorian might be only fueling his car for 2 laps, having less weight on the car. And maybe that's his strategy. He's doing 2 lap stints, where other guys are thinking, no, drag it out to 4.
Maybe that's what SGP's doing as well then, running a lighter car. Interesting. Well, personally though, I think that strategy, Bunzel big sideways, as SRI has to try and avoid him. I can't see that strategy working, to be honest, for SGP or Mandalorian. I mean, personally, I think they've just thrown away the possibility of a win and gifted it to Steve F1 as SRI around the outside of Bunzel. Lovely move there from the Mad Scotsman. Actually, no, he's not the Mad Scotsman. Gary's the Mad Scotsman. Ray, or SRI, is the evil Scotsman.
Yeah. Mad and evil.
Yeah. That's where medieval comes from. You know that? That's where medieval comes from. Mad and evil, yeah.
Mad and evil.
And if you believe that,
where does what about Evil Knievel? Was he?
Oh well, no, he was just.
Is that Mando?
No, I think Mando's got less broken bones. Okay, what we got here then? Steve F1 being hunted down now by Demon R.
Does Demon R want to overtake though? What's the point?
Well, if Demon R has already done the fuel saving that he needed, then yeah. If staying behind Steve F1, it would be slower for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's going for it.
He is going for it, so maybe he does feel like right now this is the time to break. Got a bit of a gap to SGP, Dave the Arps in the background there. The only other rival on track right now is Steve F1, so get in front of him and let's get going. But I don't know whether it's the right thing to do, really. Well, but we're going to find out.
Oh, he's ran a bit wider, so Steve F1. Well, the interesting thing is when Demon R was fuel saving, Steve F1 was not. Neither was Mandalorian, as we know. So, yeah, the strategies are just so sort of bizarre that it's difficult to know. But obviously, people have had to do fuel saving at some point, and the different timings of that, it just meant that we get different bunching at different times.
Yeah. I really don't know what's going on. But yeah, I think it's just going to be an odd one, really. And I think the guys in the cars obviously know what they're doing, but I've got no clue how this race is going to end. We're halfway through, and half at top runners are at the back, and Dave Art's on a fight back in 3rd place from starting on pole. He could really do with catching up to the back of Steve F1, and Demon R's. He could do with pulling away from Steve F1.
Oh, SRI making a move on Jason. Is he yet? Side by side they go. And in the background, we can see Mandalorian side by side with Gary. I think Jason's just sort of lifted off there and let SRI through. So he's perhaps... Oh, he's running wide. Oh, dear. It's spinning.
I think luckily the rest of the field just spotted it and took a base in there. Yeah. So Mandalorian up to P6 right now. And, you do not want to be on the AstroTurf. It's like ice.
and not only that, there's a wall right there to collect you. So SGP is in there, Twilight's in there as well, either side of Jason at the moment. So SGP, what's the gap between him and Mandalorian? Mandalorian's up the road there, a couple of seconds.
I think this is hurting SGP now. Mandalorian's made his way through the pack, and SGP's stuck, and it's probably in the worst place you could get stuck in the Porsche curves.
Steve F1 running a little bit wide there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see these guys pitting again. They pitted after 2 laps, so this would be 3 laps. Demon R's not going for it. Steve F1 is. Okay, if you're Demon R, why would you let Steve F1 get the undercut on you there?
Because you're wanting to just do one more stop and that's it. Could Steve F1... Do you think? What lap are we on now? 5.
Hang on, SGP's going into the pits again. Does someone want to tell him that you can stay left of the pit entry?
But yeah, we've said the maximum amount of laps you can get out of your fuel tank is 4. So you need to get to the end of this next lap. You can't be pitting now. You'd have to pit again.
I don't know. Steve F1 might be able to get to the end. That was the end of lap 5, so there's 4 laps, potentially 4 laps to go.
Right. Odd.
Yeah.
Steve F1's going to have to do massive fuel saving on his outlap and hope that the boost is enough to not slow him down too much. SGP's doing the same thing,
but without having to fuel save. He's just doing lots of pit stops.
Yeah. But it doesn't really matter what he's been doing up until now.
No.
So yeah, we've got Mandalorian in 3rd place with Dave the Art. They're going for the traditional 3 lapper. So they could be still going for another lap. I don't know. I don't have a clue. But Steve F1, SGP, they are going to have to do massive amounts of fuel saving on this lap
to get to the end.
Because it's not worth fuel saving later on in the stint, because then you're just sitting duck. Whereas now, while you've got that boost, because you're behind the majority of the pack, you want to be fuel saving now.
Exactly.
And I think that's why we're seeing Rich probably close in on SGP. I think Rich will have a run and an overtake, because SGP's in limp mode right now.
Yeah, that he is. His wife says that all the time as well. No, she doesn't. I've just got myself into a whole world of trouble there. But yeah, I mean, looking at that on the edge of the corner, Rich is all over the back of SGP. There's no disrespect. He's actually passing SGP. That's a surefire sign that SGP he's got his engine turned down. Rich is like, no, you're not having my slipstream. You're not having my slipstream. But I think Steve F1, I mean, he will be doing a similar thing. We saw Demon R in the previous stint, who he's now leading the race, by the way, as SGP having a look. Is he? No. Is that Mitch on the back of Mandalorian? Yes, it is.
Yeah, he's closed in big time. He's all over him. So this is the battle for 3rd place. And I think Mitch is doing a very similar strategy to Mandalorian. I think he pitted on... He were end of lap 2, end of lap 4. I think end of this lap they're both coming in for a 3-lap stint at the end. Oh, a bit of a lock-up there from Mandalorian. Just got it to slow down.
There was decent exit though, and he will fight on to live another day. I think I've said that completely the wrong way round. It's meant to be live on to fight another day.
Well, that can be another decal for next season.
Fight to live on. So Mitch, is he on the attack, or is he? I think he's just bump drafting into his saving a touch of fuel.
He might be bump drafting until we get to the braking zone, and then he might make his move. That could be a potential option for him, but this corner is a treacherous one to get it all slowed down and get your overtake, when I think there's a lot of different camber angles going on within a very short period of time, as Steve F1 now all over the back of Jason. He needs to get past Jason as quick as possible, but he's also probably fuel saving still on this lap, so yeah, a bit of an odd one. Rich Blue's still in front of SGP, but in a way I think really SGP and Steve F1 are really, really lucky here, because right now they've got 2 cars in front of them that are probably going full pell, and they're just sitting behind them getting enough boost, slipstream, that it doesn't really matter that their engine's really in limp mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. And SGP, is he making the move into the Porsche curves? Yeah, yes, he is. Won't be surprised if he's just turned his engine on. I mean, I was just thinking about it as we see Demon R. He's peeling off into the pits for what will be his final pit stop, and Dave the Harp. So these guys are going to have 3 laps to do, and they won't need to do any fuel saving. So the interesting thing I'm now realising, James, is that for Demon R, when we saw him do his fuel saving early in the second stint, he must have known that the likes of SGP and Steve F1 are going to have to do that same level of fuel saving on this stint that they're on now. So he, doing the extra lap, shouldn't have lost as much time as if these guys were running full beans. And these two now all of a sudden fight on. I think it's fair to say SGP has definitely turned the engine up.
Yeah, it's crucial now. Where is Demon R? Where is he going to funnel out of that pit lane? Because I don't think it'll be long and he'll be out of there.
You could be absolutely right. I think he may be on his way out of the pits, and he's in 6th place.
Just slotted behind Rich Blues and SRI. So I think really, say he's fighting these two, which will probably be about 5 seconds down the road from him. He'll, I think he'll be fancying his chances here. Do you think he might have changed tyres or just not bothered?
I don't think so. I mean, tyre wear, as I mentioned, around here is not that bad. At the next track, completely different scenario, but around here the tyres don't get punished at all, really. What I am finding interesting though is that Twilight once again is leading the race, James. He's on a different strategy to everybody else.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
Well, SGP, what he's trying to do is get a closer look at the back of Steve F1's car. Now, I would like to think that these guys have done all the fuel saving they need, but they don't need to rush. I mean, SGP, he's got another 10 minutes of this race to go, so he doesn't need to rush the overtake. But what he can't afford to do is wait too long and suddenly find some other guy on the charge as well.
Yeah, indeed.
Him being him.
Yeah, so SRI is the next one. He's already got past Rich Blues, so that's another one bites the dust for Demon R. And Dave the App sitting in P7. He's just come out of the pit lane. He went in only a couple of seconds behind Demon R, but I think he's lost now. He may have had to. I think he might have changed tyres, because that gap back is very
it's just a big gap, isn't it?
They're just coming over the hill in the background.
Yeah, and changing the tyres costs about 5 seconds. Oh, SRI fighting back and keeping hold of the position. I like it. I like it a lot.
He's gone a touch deep there. Demon R's carried a bit more speed, and I think it's good now at Vienna right now.
It could well be, although they're still side by side. But yeah, I mean, Dave the Harp changing the tyres, I can understand why Dave would change the tyres. It destroys them even when he's not moving, but it has cost him a considerable amount of time as SGP is having a look at attacking Steve F1. Currently this being the battle for second place, and SGP makes the move. Steve F1 realises that not a lot he can do there as Demon R and SRI go side by side through the same corner. SRI gets a little bit wiggly and Demon R makes the move, and you know what, there they are. He can see them.
Yeah, he can see them right now. Twilight leading the race, but he's going to have to pit, and I think he's going to have to pit at the end of this lap, because if he pits on the last lap, I think he could be giving away pretty much every single position with 1 lap to go.
You could be right there. SRI somehow is fighting back on Demon R. Demon R is not going to be liking this. Twilight, you don't want to be doing that when you're leading the race into the kitty litter. That's the corner, actually, James, that you mentioned. All the different camber angles, and this is it, the same one as SRI goes deep as well.
Yeah, this is not going well right now for Twilight and SRI, because the rest of the pack are on their way through, and there is Mandalorian side by side with Mitch.
Yeah, so have those two made a pit stop recently? Oh, SRI's into the barrier. I think he hit the on the AstroTurf that you said was like ice. Yeah, Mando and Mitch pitted recently.
Yeah, they both pitted at the end of the last lap, so they're going full pelt to the end of the race with a 3-lap stint. And but Mitch overtaking Mandalorian, and here comes Dave the App. But really, Dave the App's lost loads of time compared to Demon R, because Mitch and Mando were nowhere near him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. And new word as well, compared. I like it.
Yeah, I noticed me tongue in my mouth was just not working. Like, I had syrup in my mouth. So
yeah, compared the market. That's what you did.
Compared.
So Twilight then does head into the pits. SGP, bloody hell, he does know where the track goes. It's leading the way. You know, he's opened up a nice little gap on Steve F1. And Demon R trying to close that gap. I'm wondering if Steve F1... Well, yeah, Steve F1 we knew would have needed to have done a bit of fuel saving, might not have done enough on that opening lap as Dave the Ark runs a little bit wide. That's going to give Mitch an opportunity for an easy pass, and Mandalorian's going to be right on him as well.
Yeah, Mitch right now, he's laughing his head off. A few laps ago he was nowhere near the front, now he's up to P4. That's a cracking start, and here goes Mando. Can he try it? I think he'd have to try it, go all the way around the outside into turn 1 here.
We got a little bit on the curb though, a bit twitchy under braking. Dave the Arm says no, you're not coming through.
Computer says no. So yeah, Dave the Arm, he's really lost out to Demon R here. Demon R's closed in on the back of these front two, and Dave the Arm's down in P5 right now.
Yeah, well, SGP really is opening up this gap. I say that, it doesn't look that big of a gap, but compared to what it was quite a lot. But actually, Steve F1, yeah, he's catching him back up now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it should be enough of a gap, though, to keep Steve F1 behind him. Don't think Steve F1's going to be a slipstream enough to get past.
What?
Mind you.
I don't know. He's
4 seconds later, he's there.
Yeah, I mean that's a fantastic usage of the slipstream there. But then he's backed out a little bit on the way into the chicane. Obviously, trying to make sure he just gets a decent exit. I mean, there's a fine line between being too close as well. Obviously, on the previous straight, he was far enough back. He got a great run. Now he's really close. Maybe a little more difficult to make the move. But these guys cannot afford to waste any time because that numpty is catching them up.
Well, don't talk about SGP like that. Anyway.
Well, interestingly here, though, the top 3 in the championship are currently on the track in the order they are in the championship, I think.
Yeah, so really, things need swapping round if we want to keep this title fight interesting. Not to say anything bad about SGP, but really we could do with Steve F1 getting in front of him here and making it even closer.
Well, actually, I think Steve F1 and SGP are on exactly the same points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Forget what I just said. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I know that.
You know nothing, Jon Snow. So, yeah, what really this race needed was someone like Dave the Hart to actually win it and put a right spanner in the mix.
Yeah, I feel a bit like Davide Balsecchi right now.
Ooh.
I know nothing.
Jason's coming under a bit of pressure from Fluffy and Gary and Twilight, but Jason's more than sensible enough to be able to cope with it. Mitch, though, he's got Dave the Hart right under his rear wing. Mandalorian's dropped off from them a little bit.
Yeah, I'm surprised here because, well, Mitch went into the pit lane behind Mandalorian, and now he's got out in front of Mandalorian and he's pulling away, but then here comes Dave the Ark for a little bit of a fight back. So I don't know what's going on with Mandalorian. Maybe he's just lost his head for a lap. But here we go. Dave the Ark makes the move there on Mitch, and that was crucial there before all this twiddly bit. But this is the Achilles heel of Dave the Ark, this corner in particular, and this time he gets it absolutely sweet as a nut.
Yeah, that he does, and you're right. I mean, making the move there. Was that Mitch giving him a nudge, or was that Dave running deep?
I think that was Mitch giving him a little bit of a nudge. I think he's going to have to.
He's letting him back
give
through.
That. Yeah, he needs to give that up. But that's just going to help Mandalorian right now. He'll be like thinking, "Brilliant, you're lifting off. I'll have a bit of that."
Yeah, definitely. Easier slipstream. We can see in the far distance as well. Demon R still hasn't caught up to the back of Steve F1, but Mitch, he's all over the back of Dave the Hop. I was going to say, Dave made the move at the right point, because the idea would be to try and break away a little bit before the straight, but Dave's going wide.
Can he keep this slowed down, Mitch? Is he going to have to watch out here for Dave the Ark?
No, he's going to have to watch out for Mandalorian because he's sneaking up the inside. A little bit of contact between the two of them. Now Mandalorian understeering wide, but somehow manages to get through. I think Mitch will be a little bit pissed with that one. To put him.
Yeah. I think Mitch were a bit too focused on Dave the Art losing control and didn't realise he'd left the door wide open.
Yep.
But yeah, here we go. So Mitch, I don't think he'll be giving up though, because he really did pull away from Mandalorian earlier on in the race, and yeah, he's got a good exit there.
Yeah, and you know what, James? Looking at the time, they've started the last lap of the race, so SGP leads the way into turns 2 and 3. Steve F1 is still there, but he's a couple of seconds behind, and then Demon R is not too far away. He's right there, and then we've got this battle. Mitch has managed to get past Mandalorian and Dave the Harp through turns 1, 2 and 3. This is absolutely bonkers for 4th place.
Yeah, in the background there, I think Mandalorian nearly spun it on the curb himself. He'd have been foaming with himself on the last lap.
I think we've just seen Mandalorian wake up Mitch.
yeah, indeed. So right now, this is a fantastic effort though from Mitch, I've got to say. Absolutely brilliant driving. Dave the Ark and Mandalorian are not too shabby. But yeah, SGP, this is a gap that he's loving, but he'll be looking in that mirror saying, just leave me alone right now.
I'm curious though, is Steve F1, is he close enough to gain? I think he might be. It's touch and go.
I don't know. I really don't
SGP!
know.
He's got deep! He's got deep! I can't believe he's cut the corner.
But even though he's cut the corner, he'll have lost at least a second there, at least. Because braking offline, getting tyres full of dust, accelerating out of that chicane is going to be absolutely crap. And SGP, he's just giving at least a few seconds away as Mitch. I think he's close enough to Dave the Ark to have a look here.
That he is. I mean, I think it's fair to say SGP has definitely not gained from that mistake there. Mitch is really, really close to the back of Dave the Harp. Dave the Harp knows it, going defensive, or is he just trying to break the slipstream? Probably doing both.
Well, I think when it's on the last lap, you'll do absolutely anything to hold on to your position. Steve F1's run wide. That is not a great exit there. This will just allow Demon Ass to get even closer.
Yeah, so we've got a battle brewing for 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and then we've got this battle that has already brewed and stewed and flavoured.
It's bubbling over back in for 4th place. But yeah, Steve F1, he's really close now. I think he had a poor exit out of the chicane, but SGP must have had an even worse one. So here we go. Into
the kink then. Is SGP going to go defensive? No, Steve F1's on the brakes early, trying to focus on the exit. SGP's run a little bit wide. That's going to give Steve F1 the run. Oh, this couldn't be any better for Demon R. 2 cars ahead of him, side by side.
Could this be the tyres just giving away on the final lap if these guys have not changed tyres for at least 5 laps? Could this be the moment where they're just starting to slide too much? SGP's just giving away the race lead, but here we go. Demon R, can he try and make a move right now? Which way is he going to go? He's going to go between the two. Here we go.
No!
Oh! Steve F1 there. I think he was the most sensible out of the pair.
Out of the 3, yeah, definitely was.
Well, you can just see there being more sensible. That's just allowed him, well, number 1 to keep on the racetrack, and number 2, he's not too far away from these guys. Demon has had a poor exit there. I think, Mandalorian up the inside of Mitch. Mitch turns in on him as if he's not there. And I don't think Mandalorian will appreciate that.
Yeah, Mandalorian definitely has woke the beast. Okay, so this is fascinating stuff then. So Demon R stuck it in the middle. SGP said, I'm having none of that, went round the outside. Steve F1 thought, you know what, I don't need to die here. Okay, we've only got a few more corners to go. And you mentioned about tyres, James. I don't think they've changed tyres at all. So they're just absolutely gunning for, this is getting close. SGP's coming under a lot of pressure through the Porsche curves.
Yeah, Demon R, this could be his opportunity, getting a nice exit out of this corner to get up the inside into the final double chicane, but I don't think it's enough. Mandalorian closing in on the back of Mitch.
Running very wide though. So I want to see what's happening up at the front. SGP, it looks like he's got it covered off going into the... Oh no, he's sideways. He's only got 2 more corners to go. Demon R, I don't think he's got anywhere he can go, and all over the curb. No, it will be SGP taking the win. Demon R 2nd, Steve F1 3rd, and Mandalorian slots it through to steal the position from Mitch in the last couple of corners. You've definitely woken the beast, you evil Man. Dave the Harp, I think, will be frustrated to finish 6th place. Maybe happy though. But then look at this. We've got Fluffy, Gary, Jason, Jimmy, Twilight, SRI, Rich Blues ahead of Bonsall. What a brilliant. Well, I was going to say what a brilliant race, but I've no idea what the bloody hell I've just watched.
Oh, that was fantastic. Just say what you were going to say.
No. No, I'm trying.
You censored yourself. Did it end in Erd?
Yes.
And start with Bast?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We'll leave it at that. But I've got to say, what a race!
What a race!
A brilliant battle for first, second, and third. I mean, what was SGP doing in the battle for the lead? I mean, for the first 30 minutes of that race, he spent more time in the pits than Ted Kravitz.
Well, I think he'd given up on strategy and we're just mainly focusing on making sure that last he could do 4 laps at the end. Yeah. The rest of the race for SGP were a total nightmare. He's tried the undercut on lap 1, that didn't work, he pitted again on lap 2. Then he followed Mandalorian, pitted when he did, however, did the undercut 4 laps from the end, fuel save with Steve F1, then 2 laps from the end, boosted past Steve F1, and then just about held on to it by the skin of his teeth. That were absolutely mental. I think, I've just got to say, Steve F1, I think he was the most sensible driver of the day. That moment where there was 3 wide heading into that really, really awkward right kink into a tight 90-degree left-hander, that for Steve F1, I think if he'd have kept his foot in there, all 3 of them leaders could have been out. Could have been completely out.
Possibly. At the same time, though, I mean, I think after that, I think Steve F1 might be kicking himself a little bit. But at the same time, in that situation, him lifting off, he would have been thinking, go on, take each other out.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's like, well, if I keep my foot in, I'm guaranteeing I might not, but in his head,
I guarantee I may or may not.
a risk and reward situation like that, you're more than likely thinking, well, this could really, we could all be in the gravel, or I could be in the gravel, or if I lift off and them 2 understeer wide, them 2 can be both off, and I just mosey on past and laughing through the Porsche curves. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Mitch, I've got to say, fighting like mad for 4th place just to get pipped at the end. But Mitch, absolutely fantastic driving round there. Where do you happen to know where Mitch qualified? I think it were around.
It's about 5th or 6th.
5th. So he were on the pace all the time. But yeah, some of his racecraft were absolutely fantastic. I think that the biggest loser for me was Dave the Art, starting on pole, finishing in 6th.
Yeah,
I think he'll be kicking himself, going off twice in that very awkward corner that we just mentioned. But yeah, the one corner where you do not want to run wide is the one corner that's got the biggest gravel trap you can want to ever land in.
He was definitely unlucky. I mean, he had the pace in qualifying. He had the pace in the race, to be fair. I mean, he was one of the few that did the straightforward 3-3-3. And to be fair, I would have thought that would have worked. But I think it's... Well, I don't know. I really don't know how the other strategies have... Well, actually, you know what? I think if Dave hadn't have needed to have changed tyres, he wouldn't have finished in 6th, because he would have come out of the pits right behind Demon R, and he'd have been in that fight with a front, making the fight for the lead a front 4 fight. But because he took those tyres and it cost him that extra 5-6 seconds, it meant that he had the likes of Mitch and Mandalorian right behind him in his slipstream, and he couldn't really do anything about it. So I think Dave had the right idea with the strategy. He was just unlucky with the tyres. But yeah, I mean, Mitch did qualify 5th. And to be fair, he has been impressing quite a few people with his driving so far. I just hope he keeps it up, because he definitely looks like he knows what he's doing. Let's see. I mean, I know there's a few of the drivers that are not big fans of this track. I know Rich Blues before this was not looking forward to this race. From what I've heard from my assistant afterwards, Rich Blues thoroughly enjoyed himself during that race. And actually, no, I'm not going to tell you the message. If I remember on the next race video, remind me, I've got a secret message from Rich Blues.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, SRI, he's been absent for the last couple of races, so tough for him to come back and head around Sarthe de la Sarthe. And it's such, I mean, with it being such a long track, it's so tricky at times, and if you are right up someone's gearbox down those straights, it's so easy to pull out, to go, I'm just gonna have a quick look at where the braking point is, pull out and then go, I've missed it. It's so easy to do that. I'm not saying that that's what SRI did, but I know he's done that in the past around that track. So I do know a few people are not big fans of that track, but what I will say is, I mean, I was asked a while ago, why would they take these cars around this track? And there's a couple of reasons. One, these cars are brilliant around that track, and two, it's interesting to see how people have learnt about the particular track. So Twilight, for example, he used to hate this circuit, and twice he found himself leading the race today. Now, and that's with doing a lot of fuel saving, yes, but you've got to have pace and consistency to be in that position, and that's something that he's not had before. And I can actually tell you that there has not been a single incident reported.
Yeah, well, it did. I've got to admit that I'm quite vocal when I see stuff that I'm not a fan of, and that was first race where I've not gone, oh, that's really shabby driving, or that's really. It were absolutely entertaining from end to end. We didn't get to see everything, but from what we could see, absolutely brilliant. And when people had knocked people, they politely let him back through, and you just like, well, did they? just fantastic driving all round.
Yeah, it is. I mean, hopefully it will continue. Well, I can tell you, I will be taking a look at the confirmed race result and the championship standings. Interestingly, with the championship standings, James, SGP and Steve F1 were on the same points, with Demonar 1 point behind them. So Demonar getting in between the SGP and Steve F1 means that it's still ever so close in the championship standings between those three. And I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, well, the next race is at Brazil. I know.
Can you just remind me, what before the start of that race, what were the gap between the top three?
1 point.
Right.
First, SGP and Steve F1 were on exactly the same points. Demonar was 1 point behind them.
So right now, I'm guessing Steve F1's sitting in third place in the championship standings.
He will be, yes.
And we know from experience previously, Steve F1 is bloody good round Brazil.
Exactly. And I mean, SGP loves that track.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've seen in the past Demonar battling with Steve F1 around that track. We could be in for one hell of a race. I mean, in a way, I think I'd love to see Steve F1 win it, because that'd just keep things ever so tight. But at the same time, I'd love to see someone else come along and win it, and other people to really get in the mix. Well, if other people can get in the mix, then the point differences in the result could have a massive effect.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, I've got to say, these cars, having the fuel on, does open up strategy more than in previous. I think in previous, people have just driven till the tyres fall off the car. I think if we'd have probably done this race round Le Mans, but we have not had fuel. People had just gone start to finish. There had been no pit stops.
Yeah,
and it would have been quite bland. And probably the circuit would have not been picked for that very reason. But yeah, I think putting the fuel in there, it just adds an extra roll of the dice for your strategy. And yeah, it was just fantastic to watch, really. Yeah,
we'll have to
absolutely
see.
Brilliant.
We'll have to see what's going to happen at Brazil. I mean, let's see. Brazil is the next race. That's race 6, and then I know the last race is at Dragon Trail Gardens, and somewhere in between that is also Fuji, and there's another one. I just off the top of my head can't think of what it is at the moment.
I'm blanking.
You what? Okay.
Blanking.
Right. Okay. So yeah, round 6. Next race is Brazil, Interlagos. The round 7 is Sardinia Road B, a track we've not raced at before, but it's a brilliant little racetrack. And then round 8 will be Fuji, and then round 9 Dragon Trail Gardens, another track we've not actually raced at. So we've got 4 races where, well, let's put it this way, as you mentioned, Steve F1 loves and is successful at Brazil. Interestingly though, Sardinia Road Track B, SGP, is very, very good at. And also, round 9, Dragon Trail Gardens, SGP, very, very good at. And then Fuji's in there as well, and I'm pretty sure Demon R has had success at Fuji. So
yeah,
this is proper wide open.
This is the championship we need, where there's a couple of contenders. We could probably do in future championships with maybe 5 drivers fighting for the title, but the fact that it's not Demon R against one other person, the fact that he's, you know what I mean, it's forcing him to push every race, whereas I think previously, not that he's not pushed and just won, but it's a constant no mistakes. You've got to do it. I think that's where, if Demon R wins this championship, this will be the one that he really does think, you know what, that one really, really earns it.
Yeah, I think you could be right there. I've got an interesting idea, right? Now, usually, I mean, the chances of this happening are extremely slim, but there is the possibility that the top 3 drivers could end the championship on exactly the same points. Now, in the normal racing situations like that, you'd go to who's won the most races. I reckon they should do something different. You know, I'm going to put it out there now. If on the off chance, right, we'll see what others think about this. If on the off chance the top 3 drivers finish on exactly the same points, what they should do is have a shootout between the 3 of them live, right? No boost, at a randomly selected circuit, and whoever comes first is first, second is second, third is third.
I just want to see a good championship battle, as close as it's been, right down at wire. I want it to be like last corner, last lap, them 3 going for it. I think that'll be the icing on the cake, really, if that happens. I really hope I really hope that one of them don't just completely fall off the map. You know, like have a crash on last lap and you finish last.
Well, you know,
that'd really wipe out the championship hopes from.
It would, but at the same time, if it was going to happen to any of them, I'd want it to happen to Demon R. Because at least then it's the other 2. It's their first. They're up there for their first. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens in the remaining races. So I think it's time to say thank you, James, for joining me on commentary.
Yeah, no worries, no problem. We're good to watch.
Aye, even if we didn't know what was happening. So yeah, time to take a look then at the confirmed race results and the championship standings. DGT League SGP then does take the maximum 20 points, with Demon R right behind him in second place on 17. Steve F1 rounds out the top 3, scoring 15 points for third place. Mandalorian, with that sneaky move late on, bags himself 4th ahead of Mitch in 5th, Dave the Harp in 6th, and then Fluffy Planet in 7th, Formula Gary 8th, Jason in 9th, Jimmy in 10th, Twilight a little bit frustrated perhaps with his ending position in 11th place, and then we've got the rivals SRI and Rich Blues in 12th and 13th respectively, and then Bunsel rounding out the whole field. Unfortunately, a couple of drivers were unable to make the race, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But to be fair, it's been a brilliant race to watch around Cirque de la Sarthe. So let's take a look at what that result has done to the championship standings. So then, after 5 races, DGT League SGP opens up a little bit of a gap at the top. He's now on 89 points. Demon R moves up to second place on 85 points, and Steve F1 only 1 point behind him on 84. Mitch has managed to open up a little bit of a gap to Fluffy Planet. They're on 52 and 50, and then Mandalorian trying to close that gap to all of them. He's now in 6th place on 37 points. Only 2 points ahead now of Dave the Harp in 7th place. Twilight and Jimmy, they're tied for 8th place, both on 31 points, while Jason is struggling in the middle of the field in 10th place on 25 points. SRI, he's a couple of points behind him, and then Bunsel a couple of points behind him, and then only 1 point behind him it's Rich Blues, so it's ever so close from 10th down. Groover, who was unable to race today, he's in 14th on 16 points, ahead of Tyler, who's in 15th on 15th, and then we've got Formula Gary, who with his decent points haul today is still in 16th, but is now considerably closer to Tyler, now on 10 points, and Conrad still on 0. Anyway, as we mentioned, the next race is at the Brazil Grand Prix circuit. It could be absolutely fascinating around that track. In these cars, the championship is still wide open. Who will be successful in Brazil? There's only one way to find out. Make sure you come and join us at the Dynamic GT League. See you all again soon.